The Wii U was a confusing system back when it launched in the November of 2012, beating both Sony and Microsoft to the punch with their 8th generation consoles for all the good that did. But did the Wii U really deserve the reputation that it's garnered over the years as a bad platform, or maybe even a failure?
Yes.
But I think it's also important to understand why the Wii U didn't do so well, because for all of its faults, it really is an interesting system that tried to bring a lot of new ideas to the table. So with the eShop for Wii U getting shut down early next year, I just want to ask, what exactly went wrong with the Wii U? Well, I think the best way to figure this out is to talk about what exactly went right with its predecessor, the Wii. Imagine it's about 2006. Your game console just got absolutely destroyed by a company who can't figure out a more unique name than, well, two. So you take the same console, make it flat, add a motion controller, and you have what we call a smashing success. And as you'll know, the Wii marked somewhat of a turning point for Nintendo.
And now you say you want a revolution. Well, we've got one.
The GameCube did everything that its competition did, both more limitations that made the platform less attractive for most developers. The Wii, on the other hand, did something different, bring players a new way to experience their games, undercut the competition, and bring loads of high-quality, first-party titles to the platform. And that brings us to the next generation. The Wii U tried to do the exact same thing, give players an even more unique way to play their games, which Nintendo was hoping would attract their core audience without alienating those who had had a lot of fun with their last, more casual system. So they started with some new hardware. The Wii U is powered by a custom chip that has both the triple-core PowerPC CPU, codenamed Espresso, and the AMD Radeon-based Latte GPU on board, paired with 2GB of DDR3 RAM and either 8 or 32GB of built-in eMMC storage. Just compare that to the 88MB of total memory that the Wii had across both its CPU and GPU, and you can already tell that the Wii U was a pretty big leap forward. With that said, the Wii U doesn't lose sight of its roots either. Inside that triple-core IBM PowerPC CPU, we have a very similar architecture to that seen in both the Wii and GameCube's processors, meaning that Nintendo basically kept selling GameCube-based hardware from 2001 all the way until the Wii U was discontinued in 2017 after the Switch came out. The Wii U is a pretty nice looking console on the outside. It definitely takes some inspiration from the Wii with its piano black exterior and the slot loading optical drive right on the front, but it also adds 2 USB ports on the front for attaching external storage. But of course, there had to be some other improvements for the Wii U to make it to market as anything more than a more powerful Wii, so we also got some other updates, like the new optical drive, which used discs that were pretty similar to Blu-rays, holding just about 25GB each, as well as HDMI output, and the most defining feature of the Wii U, which was the GamePad. As this weird sort of tablet gaming controller thing that I should really be holding. As this sort of weird gaming tablet controller thing, the Wii U GamePad was actually a pretty big innovation in its own right. The GamePad, which is built kind of like a Wii Classic controller with a 6.2-inch 480p touchscreen smack dab in the middle, is where you make most of your interactions with the Wii U itself. It's pretty comfortable to hold, all the buttons feel like they're in the right place, and it even has some really cool features, like the little built-in sensor bar at the top, right where the camera is, which lets you play regular Wii games using a Wii remote, even if you aren't at your TV. What I think is even more interesting about the GamePad is some of its development history. This was a point where Nintendo was trying to figure out a new way for people to play games together, and in doing so, they came up with a few interesting prototypes. So here's a pair of Wii remotes taped to a screen, and hey, I kind of like the color combination on those D-pads. It'd be kind of cool if they used that. That said, by far my favorite prototype is this Wii Zapper with a little screen at the end, which was apparently pretty well received by playtesters, but all I can think about looking at this is an army of Japanese businessmen boarding a subway each holding one of these. In the end, I think the GamePad is actually a pretty well-designed controller, and even if it is a little unconventional, it definitely served as inspiration to get Nintendo back on the right track with their next console. But obviously, none of this really helped it perform on store shelves, and even after price cuts, the Wii U only moved about 13.5 million units worldwide. For a little bit of perspective, the PS4, which came out a year later, managed to sell 106 million units, and even the original Wii from 2006 managed to sell about 750% more units than the Wii U, which is not ideal. It couldn't even beat the GameCube at 22 million units sold. But regardless, I think it's time to fire up the Wii U and see what it can do. So once you turn on the Wii U, you're going to be dropped into the Wii menu. By default, you'll get this tiled interface that's pretty similar to the 3DS's main menu on the GamePad, and a plaza with random Miis telling you about some of the different features built into the Wii U. You see these people? They don't stop. They don't stop screaming. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to do here since many of the Wii U's online services have already been shut down, but of course, you can still launch games, change settings, and make new Miis in the Mii channel, for example. One of the cool things that you can do here, though, is access the Wii menu. Since the Wii U is basically just a Wii on steroids, which itself is just a GameCube on steroids, Nintendo gives you the option to boot into the regular Wii menu. If you have a Wii Remote handy, you can enter the virtual Wii mode and turn off almost everything about the Wii U that makes it a Wii U. This basically means that now you have a regular Wii with an incredibly clean HDMI output and a wireless gamepad that will control supported games. And honestly, this is just so cool to me, because I can play Wii Sports anywhere within a 15-foot radius of the Wii U. Now on the topic of the actual games that you can play on the Wii U, well, obviously it's a Nintendo console, so you can probably guess that the first party titles it got were some of the most exciting. Think Mario Kart 8, the very aptly named Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, Super Mario 3D World, Breath of the Wild, everything like that. What's really amazing to me is that each of these games were some of the highest quality titles Nintendo had released in each of those franchises, and the passion for each project shows. These games still hold up great today in terms of both the graphics and gameplay, and honestly, it's a shame that they were stuck on the Wii U where nobody was able to play them. If only Nintendo could re-release these games on a newer system that people were actually playing, because I think it'd do pretty well. Hell, nobody played these games anyway. You could probably just re-release every single one and make it your entire product lineup. Every single first-party title on the Wii U just feels like a Nintendo game, and that's what makes them work. They make good use of the gamepad, they look great, and for titles like SSB Wii U, they pushed the limits of the hardware, and in fact Smash was one of the few games that actually ran at a full 1080p 60 frames per second, and the results speak for themselves. But what I think is even more interesting is the situation with third-party titles. A lot of companies were excited about bringing their franchises that usually only had a home on PlayStation or Xbox to a Nintendo console for pretty much the first time ever. But slow, buggy ports and a small player base scared off developers, and the Wii U didn't get the same kind of third-party support and attention that the Wii, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series. The thing is, when developers were making games for the Wii, they were making games for the Wii. The target demographic was clear, more casual players like Grandma, and developers were encouraged to make games that took advantage of motion controls from the Wii Remote. The Wii U, on the other hand, tried to appeal to everyone, and in doing so, didn't manage to make anybody care. So obviously third-party developers weren't going to take the risk in investing in this platform. That said, Ubisoft ported Watch Dogs to it. You know, what's kind of neat about this port is that Ubisoft ported Watch Dogs to the Wii U, and it almost runs at 720p, and sometimes gets near 30 frames a second, but it's on the Wii U. You could have played it on any other platform. You could have played it on PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 3, Xbox One. But someone decided that you should be able to play Watch Dogs on an overclocked GameCube. The point is, the Wii U had some incredibly high-quality first-party titles that were almost let down by a console that was definitely capable of running them, but that no one had or barely even knew existed. And that was the true failure of the Wii U. Whatever Nintendo had learned throughout 7 years of selling the original Wii had apparently just vaporized the second they came out with the Wii U. They didn't know how to sell this console. I vividly remember walking into a GameStop about 7 years ago now and asking if I could just buy the Wii U. If I could just buy the Wii U without the Wii included. To many people, this is what the Wii U was, an add-on to the Wii that let you play all of the new Wii U games. And that really is a shame, because the Wii U was an amazing console, especially with its great lineup of first-party titles that obviously were pretty good games, seeing as Nintendo is literally dumping all of them on the Switch, and really it just kind of makes you wonder how the Wii U would have done if it weren't the Wii U. Imagine an alternate timeline where Nintendo had called this the Switch. Would that make the new one the Switch U? But that's not to say that it's necessarily a dead console either. The Wii U has also seen some really cool homebrew, and I honestly think this is why most people would probably be interested in getting one of these today. With a simple hack that doesn't even require an eShop game, you can install the homebrew channel and get access to a whole lot of cool stuff. For example, you can take old GameCube and Wii backups and turn them into Wii U titles that will show up on the Wii U menu. So you've already got 3 generations of Nintendo consoles covered, and then just emulate the rest using RetroArch. You can literally play every single game Nintendo has ever made, with some very wild exceptions, using a Wii U and a Switch, which is just really cool. I might end up making another video about Wii U homebrew in the not too distant future, because just like the PS3 and Wii, there's a lot of ground to cover, and I'm just about running out of time for this video. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the video and what you like or hate about the Wii U. Personally, I think it's a really cool little system, even 8 years after its launch, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. And with that said, I think it's just about time that I get out of here, so I just want to say thanks for watching the video. I hope it was a little bit interesting. Anyway, thanks again, and have a good one.